So before I start the video, I want to preface it by saying I don't think the anime man or anyone in this video is a nonce or a paedophile or whatever, and that I do actually enjoy some of his content, but this is an extremely suspect tweet that's accompanied by an even worse video where a lot of the things he's advocating for is likely stuff paedophiles also advocate for. Also, if I do get anything wrong or just simply misspeak, please let me know in the comments. I read literally every comment, so if you do have a point that you think needs to be heard, I will take notice. Now, if you don't know who the anime man is, I mean, it's pretty much what it says on the tin. Joey, also known as the anime man, is an anime YouTuber who makes very high effort videos like Guess the Anime Logo Challenge, and I just watched the worst hentai ever made. Basically, Joey, which is what I'll be referring to him as for the rest of the video for simplicity, tweeted this: Australia just banned all hentai, adult goods, and manga/anime that have children in them, and frankly, I'm quite pissed off. Let's find out how this happens. Now, as far as I can tell, they aren't banning all manga/anime with children in, but instead, only anime where minors or characters meant to be portrayed as minors are put in pornographic situations, which normal people would agree with is a good thing that they're banning. Now, if you, in fact, aren't a paedophile, why does this piss you off so much? The replies are equally as terrible, if not worse, with amazing takes like, I like lollies. There's nothing wrong with that. A lolly and a real child is very different. I see a cute lolly and I'm like, that's cute, and stuff. I see a real child and I'm like, that is nowhere as near as cute as a lolly. It's a drawn character. It's not real. Why the fuck does it matter? Or this one. To all the people who say lollies and kids in real life are the same, take a look at this picture. One is a kid and one is a drawing. Now, unless I'm just not seeing something, the one on the right looks like exactly like the one on the left, but just drawn. This looks like a fucking child. It doesn't matter if it's drawn or not. Anyway, he continues, you can fap to a lolly in hentai because first of all, they aren't real. Secondly, lollies in hentai are drawn in a way that attracts the viewers like in other hentai texts. All the characteristics of lollies in hentai are the reason why people like them. So basically, he's saying there's no issue with wanking to this. None at all. I swear to God, I am fucking done with Twitter. Before we get into the video, I do just want to point out the video will be left in descriptions, proof I haven't taken anything out of context to make him look bad.
Here's a question for you. Do you use the internet? Don't answer. It's rhetorical. Your boy's got your back because this episode is sponsored by ExpressVPN.
First thing I want to point out is this video is sponsored and fully monetized, so it's a bit interesting.
Whenever you're connected to an unencrypted internet network on your phone, computer, tablet, TV, etc., you're sending countless pieces of information out into the digital world that can be seen and intercepted by many different... How's it gonna run? This is the Anime Man. It's a rare occasion that I talk about currently ongoing topics that revolve around the otaku community, and it's even more rare of an occasion that I happen to delve into the political spectrum.
But skipping the ad read, Joey claims that he's delving into the, quote, political spectrum, something he doesn't normally do. Now, since when has child porn ain't good chief been a political issue, is my question.
So when I heard the news that the Australian government had supposedly banned all lewd and ecchi anime and manga and basically completely screwed over the entirety of the hentai and adult goods industry in Japan, you bet your sweet little butt that I was quite pissed off.
Now I can see why you'd be pissed off at first. Banning an entire art form, seemingly because it's pornographic, it does seem like a little bit dodgy. But just you wait,
The United Nations, don't know if you've heard of them, proposed a new initiative titled Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. In layman's terms, this is basically an initiative that aims to fight against child exploitation through prevention of human trafficking, putting an end to child adult stuff, and essentially doing everything they can to cease all production, distribution, and exploitation of child adult stuff. Now, on the surface of things, this seems like a pretty valiant effort by the United Nations, right?
Yes, it does. Surely, this is a good thing. There shouldn't be a but to this sentence. But there is.
I don't think anybody watching this video can exactly disagree on the main goal of this initiative. Like, of course we're all for it. Like, it would make everything just so much safer and more wonderful for our current and future children to live in. And who would be against that, right? Well, unfortunately, much like any contract, they always hide some sneaky shit in the fine print. Because in one section of the document, specifically page 14, section 56, there is one paragraph where the UN clearly gives their definition of what exactly they think child porn is.
I'll play a bit more in a second, but what would you imagine sneaky shit and fine print of a child exploitation law would entail? Just think about that for a second, and why would it be sneaky necessarily?
According to the UN, it is any representation of a child engaged in real or simulated explicit
adult stuff
activities regardless of the means used, or any representation of the
adult stuff
of a child for primarily
adult stuff
purposes. The qualification, by whatever means, reflects the broad range of materials available in a variety of media, online and offline. It includes, inter alia, visual materials such as photographs, movies, drawings and cartoons, audio representations, any digital media representation, live performances, written materials in print or online, and physical objects such as sculptures, toys, or ornaments.
No, I don't think, or I hope at least, anyone watching this video would disagree with that. It seems perfectly reasonable. Like, drawn porn is still child porn, even if it is drawn. If it depicts a minor in a pornographic situation, it is disgusting child porn. Right?
You know what manga, anime, and all forms of hentai fall under, right? Drawings and cartoons!
Oh, I'm sorry, but unless I'm mistaken, not every single anime has minors in explicit situations. Some animes or mangas might walk the line a little bit, but when it happens, it is usually for story purposes, so I sincerely doubt Australia would be banning manga and anime without good reason. Good reason would be if a manga or anime showed a minor in a pornographic way, and again, not all anime does this.
To skip over the boring text again, basically the UN has to look at the context of which the content is used for. Objectivity. It's just completely thrown out of the fucking window. If the UN looks at a piece of material and deems it to be child porn, then by law, no matter what the individual might think, it is child porn. And if I may be the first to say, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Now, while I understand sort of where he's coming from here, if the person reviewing it doesn't know the context completely, it can be very understandably debatable whether a review process should work like that. But a lot of the time, context doesn't matter too much. High School DxD, an anime I'll talk about more in a little bit, is a show that heavily revolves around, you guessed it, a high school, and the majority of characters in said high school are minors. There are scenes where 16 to 17-year-olds are put in very sexual situations on screen, and even sometimes shown like completely naked. The first season of the show is on Netflix, and while it has like a fairly decent story, and it's not just these scenes, a majority of the show is the scenes of the main character touching up his classmates, which in my opinion is very disturbing. Sexual situations with minors can be portrayed on shows and even anime right, like, you know, without literal nudity. Take this scene in one of my favourite animes, Beastars, where the wolf, Legoshi, is 17 and the rabbit, Haru, is 18. Legoshi is put into a sexual situation with Haru, but it stopped before anything actually happens. This scene is only in there because of story reasons. It pushes the story forward and helps to flesh out the characters of Haru and Legoshi by showing the complete contrast in their personalities. There is no nudity or sex in this scene.
Basically, every anime, manga, and hentai that involves a lolly or a shota character in any level of gratuity, fuck it, there might not be any level of gratuity at all. We might be talking about fucking Yotsubato, where everything is just so freaking wholesome, and there isn't even a single notion of lewdness in its manga, but just because of the fact that it has a bunch of lolly and shota characters in it, it basically stands no fucking chance of not being yeeted out of existence by the UN based on their dumbass rule.
Please let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I heavily doubt that literally any media with a child character will get taken down because there is a child in it. Again, with the High School DxD example, it's not just High School DxD, by the way. A surprising amount of anime with not safe for work elements take place in a high school for whatever reason. But anyway, with the High School DxD example, that includes minors in sexual situations. Not every single anime and manga does this, like the one Joey pointed out.
Now look, while I say all of this, I totally get the other side of the spectrum. Because no matter what you say, there is a bunch of messed up anime, manga, and hentai out there that does use children characters in very exploitative ways. If we're strictly following the exact guidelines that the US has planted, Western children's cartoons like the Powerpuff Girls could also fall victim to these guidelines.
Now, I've personally never seen the Powerpuff Girls, but I sincerely doubt there's child porn in it, so by the guidelines, from what he said, there should be no problem.
On February 25th, Australian Senator Sterling Griff requested a national review of anime and manga, claiming that the medium promotes child grooming among pedos.
Now, while I don't necessarily agree that anime facilitates grooming, that's not necessarily the problem. The problem is that people can and will get off to virtual child porn, which isn't good, as like it could be considered a gateway to real child exploitation.
Oh yes, of course, Senator, I completely get what you're saying. Don't worry about the active child trafficking problem that exists in the country, or, you know, the fact that our entire country was on fire for 11 months straight and no government official did anything about it, because I am offended by this fictitious manga panel that has a teenager in it.
Now, this clip sort of annoyed me and was one of my biggest problems I had with this video, just because something else happening that's bad doesn't undermine the other things. It is much easier to stop animated CP than to stop literal wildfires and human trafficking rings. Like I'm sure the Australian government didn't go like, we can either stop lolly hentai or we can stop wildfires. Has to be one or the other. It's not like that bit in Saints Row 4 where you can either stop wild hunger or stop cancer. It's like saying, why do police go over bank robbers when they could be going after murderers? It's exactly like this one Ricky Gervais clip.
I'll tweet something about, you know, a bull being tortured in a bull ring, right, for entertainment, and I say, ban bullfighting. Someone always says, what about the kids in Syria?
Just because the government is helping stop one thing doesn't mean they've given up on other things.
Experts that advocate against child exploitation have referred to this type of anime and manga as a gateway to the abuse of actual children. Experts also say that explicit anime and manga can be used by pedophiles as tools to groom children. Please answer me this one question, Senator Griff. Who in the holy hell are these so-called experts you speak of? I'm looking through the papers, Senator, and it seems like you have not cited your sources whatsoever. You know that's an automatic 0 in your English exam, right?
According to Wikipedia.org, I'll link the full article in the description, viewing child pornography increases the likelihood of an individual committing child sexual abuse. This was discovered after, quote, a range of research has been conducted. But by the way, this was the second result that came up after the search, does lolly correlate with child exploitation?
Like you're just throwing the word experts around to validate your one-sided logic when anybody with a brain that has read even a single page of manga or has watched even a second of any anime will tell you just how wrong that statement is. Because if that were the case and the so-called experts you hired are just straight up spitting facts out of their bullshit mouths, then Tokyo would just be nothing but a bunch of roaming around. And the last time I went to Tokyo, I'm pretty sure there was nothing of the sort, you racist, close-minded cunt.
Surely it would be more of a generalization to say everyone in Japan reads manga. Also, I'm British and I've personally read a lot of manga and seen a lot of anime, and I can agree with this statement.
In one explicit scene that takes place in the virtual world, the character Asuna is raped by her captor, Sugu, who threatens to also rape her in the real world, where she is lying in a hospital room in a catatonic state. What? Excuse me? Senator, I hate to tell you, but I don't think what you were watching was Sword Art Online, bro. He also states that he'll make a recording of the virtual to shame her as well, though incredibly is referred to as a fun party. Asuna is chained and her clothes are ripped from her while Kirito is forced to witness the Asuna is described as a 17-year-old girl. Hey, spoiler alert, that never happened.
Now, I'm not sure what Joey means here, because literally it takes one search to come up with the scenes that the center is talking about. I'm not going to play it for obvious reasons, but if you are that morbidly curious, search SAO Asuna rap scene. What you will see is pretty disgusting.
And this senator just loves throwing the R word around, doesn't he? Like it's nothing to him.
Well, yeah, because he's making an example. What other word would you want him to say? I know people can get upset by the words, and I understand why. But honestly, what would you have probably substituted with?
How ironic that this dude who is trying to be against child exploitation is over adult stuff and completely throwing out of context what is actually just a bunch of harmless fun that you find in any random manga and anime. Also, let's not forget about the fact that he's talking about Sword Art Online, where the main demographic and the main fan base of that show, I believe, is under the age of 16.
Again, I'm not sure what he's trying to say here. Is he saying child porn is fine if it's watched by minors?
So it's really funny that he tries to make this point that Sword Art Online is this gross series that completely shows off and adult stuff. Against children, which, by the way, the fact that he even used that word is fucking disgusting to begin with.
Again, I'm sorry, but what would you rather say? I feel like using the actual medical term in a serious document makes sense.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure that every 14-year-old girl who goes to their local anime convention cosplaying as Asuna goes around and says, yes, I am cosplaying my favorite victim in anime. In another scene, high school girls are at a swimming pool, and one of the girls indecently assaults another character by repeatedly squeezing her breasts and bullies her because of her physicality. Oh.
Joey then goes on to show more examples of which, correct me if I'm wrong, but surely damage his argument.
God forbid these high school girls can just play around and have some fun with their friends because they're comfortable with the adult stuff.
But the reason it's wrong is because it was animated for the purposes of people to watch for their personal enjoyment. The anime girls you have used in your argument countless times are not real. They can't feel comfortable or uncomfortable as they are drawings. But looking at the drawings and getting off to them, it's still wrong. If a character is portrayed as underage, or they're just underage, they shouldn't be portrayed as touching each other like that.
These arguments he throws around are barely arguments, they're just one-sided accusation. You racist, close-minded cunts and over. But alas, a particular anime merch company by the name of J-List publishes an article on their website titled Australia Bans Waifus, Adult Stuff, and Fun.
Yes, because I too describe wanking to literal children as fun.
God, Jesus, you just want the... I mean, you do realize that right now, you are the laughingstock of the online anime community.
Oh god, not the online anime community.
Like, you just collectively took the Australian anime community out back and just fucking shot it in the head like a diseased dog, not knowing that that dog had nothing wrong with it. It just had a raging boner, that's all.
Oh, okay, that's sure, interesting phrasing. Talking about dog penis, alright, cool, sorry, I'm just completely baffled by that analogy.
Like, I guarantee I love my fan base there, and I want to protect the Australian anime community with all of my heart and as to the best of my ability, because I came from there. I am a child of that community.
But surely you don't have to like hentai to be an anime fan.
But I'm also just anything experts, and I'm talking about actual experts, and years of accumulated data have shown that the reason why the crime rates in Japan, especially adult stuff, crime rates in Japan and adult stuff, rates against children in Japan are some of the lowest in the world is because we have mediums like anime and manga and the entirety of the hentai industry to basically put a stop to people who might have those urges before they go and actually do it to real people and suffer the real world consequences. The crime rates in Japan, especially
adult stuff,
crime rates in Japan and
adult stuff,
rates against children in Japan are some of the lowest in the world. It seems like you have not cited your sources whatsoever. You know that's an automatic 0 in your English exam, right?
But in all seriousness, child exploitation rates in Japan are actually going up. And remember High School DxD? Yeah, the voice actor for the main character, you know, the same character who gropes his underage female classmates, was actually fired between the second and third season. Why? Possession of child porn. He literally had a show he was in where he groped underage women, which, according to Joey, should have stopped his urges. But no, it seems like he just wanted more, and whilst this is only one instance, like, it's still, like, shouldn't be happening.
But, of course, I'm really glad I moved to Japan before this all happened, because knowing how much I love that shit, you know that I would have been absolutely screwed if I was still in Australia. Like, we just entered non-stop nut November, and you know, your boy would not have been able to get through this month if it wasn't for these types of...
Oh my god, he actually made a no not November joke, I swear to god. Anyway, this is pretty much the full video. Like, if you want to watch the outro and the full video, again, it's linked in the description. Obviously, it's heavy, like a really heavily cut down version of it. Anyway, if you made it to the end, I just want to say thank you. This video took me, like, pretty much an entire day's script, and it's going to take a similar amount of time to edit. So if you did enjoy this video, I'd appreciate it so much if you subscribed. I'm currently just doing videos as, like, a hobby, and while I don't genuinely mind that, I would like to do it as a job someday, and the only way for me to achieve that goal is if you consider subscribing. It takes, like, 10 seconds, and it genuinely means a lot. Anyway, follow me on Twitter and join my Discord if you want to. That being said, I'll see you next time.